Hey guys, here's my gear today. Whip Dog Boar 24mm, Fatip Testina Gentile, their solid bar razor. The blade we're going to put in the razor is the Personna Platinum. As you can see, it looks like this will be the 15th shave with it. And L&L Grooming DFS 2017 soap. And you can, if you want to know the notes, I think there was some rosemary, lavender, pepper, and one other thing that I was able to pull out of the different scent notes. But the complete list of scent notes that I was able to find is in the description of the video if you're curious. And I mainly wanted to choose a good quality soap, which this Bison is very good quality soap. And I wanted to choose one that had a lot of room in the tub on top of the soap, because I'm going to be doing my heavy method face lather again today. And this is the soap that's going to do it for me today. I'm just experimenting. I'm not really happy with what I've been doing so far. It's not the kind of shaving that I would want to do, but I just want to get as good at it as I can reasonably get so that I can talk about it. And I've already learned and added several things to my list of pros and cons with face lathering and bowl lathering, and I'll share those. I'll make a separate video with those once I have kind of finished up with all these different attempts, because today's variation on me being all scientific-y and analytical and nerdy and geeky about this kind of stuff, we've got this pseudo Captain's Choice lather bowl. It's the regular size. It's a Chinese knockoff. So it's not the actual bowl, but it's the same exact dimensions as the regular size bowl. And so one of the things that I posited was that a possible good use of this bowl, while it did not work well for anything but my smallest of Boar brushes, I thought it might be good for generating a kind of pre-lather before moving on to face lathering. So let's try that today. Also, in the last video, you saw me pulling a whole lot of lather off my face and off my brush, and I put it down. So this could be a good receptacle for that as well, if that is how it goes down. So that's what we're going to try. And maybe, this could fill a real void to make a person like me enjoy face lathering. Here's the problem with me and face lathering. I like wet lathers where they're creamy, and then right as the creamy is about to drop off, because you're adding a bunch of water, it's really hydrated, but it's still very creamy. That's where I like it. And the problem is when it's that loose and it's all just on your brush, it's really hard for your brush to contain that kind of lather. The loose stuff just slings off or falls off, or and so far I've been forced to shave with lather that's a lot more dense, a lot more dry than I might like it to be. Let's see if this helps that out a little bit. Okay, so let me get this blade in the razor. I've got a ton of these platinum chromes. I think they may be called super platinums on the paper packaging. Now, one of the big deals about Fatip's has been the alignment, and this method, which has been used for 100 years, of the 3-post system, does sometimes lend itself to the blade being able to move around when you first put it in there. And so when you lock it down, it's not necessarily centered and done properly. And that's a concern for some people. So what I'm going to do is just drop and just kind of let, there was this new method I heard about. One way is to just drop it, let the natural fall of it dictate where it goes. And then also just drop this guy on there as well, tighten it down. And a lot of people say, and I believe my experience bears this out, about 50% of the time, it's going to be exactly right with no need for you to modify it. Well, I heard about this. I was reading a thread, and I heard how you could squeeze the end tabs and make the blade bow a little bit. And what that does is the blade on the very ends, it's angled. And so you're causing that end pin here, this pin here and here, you're causing those to be pushed into a V shape part of the blade, which is kind of an auto-centering kind of thing. So what if you could then tighten it down while you held the end caps like that, and then maybe the blade wouldn't move. Let's give it a shot. Makes sense. Obviously, you're going to need to try to hold it in the same position as it, and you're going to lose that bow as you're tightening it down. So I don't know. We'll see. Hey. Oh, no, it missed it a little bit, but that's okay. Really, really close. Okay, so I am going to, what I do is I screw it down enough to where it's loose enough to where I can move it, but tight enough to where when I finally tighten it down, it doesn't move. And there we go. That's all it took. And that was where it was slightly off. I had to fix it, had to adjust it. Not very long at all. So to me, it's not a big deal. All right. In fact, it's kind of a customized option. If you really want, if you wanted one side to be a little more aggressive and the other side be more mild, you could then allow a little bit more exposure to one side, and that would get that done. All right. Oh, and the aftershave today, this is how Maggard Razors sends out their aftershave samples. This is Floid Black. I do not have a lot of experience with Floid, and so I want to try the black today. All right. Yes, face wet. Let's get the face a little wet. 24 hours of growth is what we're dealing with. And this is hard water. A little bit of a runny nose for some reason. Okay, so the heavy loading, the heavy method of face lathering, I'm calling it heavy just because you're loading heavy. I usually load for about 20 seconds. 30 just to cover my bases, but usually 20 seconds is about right for about any soap. When I'm using a bowl keeps all that lather in, helps you to conserve it. Well, with this type of face lathering method where you just got such a lot of that concentrate all over your face to then help it to last until the third pass, we're overloading relatively based on that bowl amount. But if this is the kind of lathering you like, then it's loading exactly the right amount of lather that you need. And it's a good way to move through so quickly if you need to do that. But some conservative people might say that's just wasteful. So you decide which kind of person you're going to be. All right, so everybody's saying kind of a wet brush. I'm going to shake a little, not dripping, not, that kind of thing. So let's just see what we have here. And we'll go for a 120 swirls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 10, 120. Okay, so there we go. It's quite wet, so I definitely didn't have to go back and add any water in the middle of that process. And I'm going to kind of rinse the threads of the tub off. Keep that clean for next time. The lid doesn't get stuck and all that. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry while I do my shave. Then I cap it up. That's my usual plan. Now, here is the change. Let's take this little bowl here, and instead of, in my normal use of a bowl, I am mixing up the entire amount of lather for as many passes as I'm planning to do during the shave. And that usually was big trouble for this kind of bowl. It just doesn't hold very much lather. It's got these nice ridges. That doesn't really seem to matter too much when the lather never stays in the bowl. So I am going to kind of whip together my early kind of lather. Maybe this will help that water that's inside the brush to not quite spill out when I first start shaving. So why don't we try that out? Now I'm going to take my normal shave bowl, put some water in it, use it for dipping if I need to add water to my face, which I'm sure I will. And right now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and dip and put a little extra water in there now. I mean, why not fill this thing up with some good wet concentrate if I can. Dip again. So in a way, I guess this is not, true face lathering, but hey, if it's a way to help me do it. And because I like to add so much water to my lathers, I don't like it dry, then it actually is not a way to save time, face lathering. If you like dry lathers, then yeah, it can save you time because then you're not adding very much water to your lathers. But for me, I like them wet, and so then it's really it takes just as much time, if not more. Okay, well, see, look, we definitely have a very creamy looking. See how the structure there, it's all holding up well because it's so dry. It doesn't have that water in there yet for elasticity. And so as a matter of fact, I was going to take some fingertips here and put some more water in there. But that didn't work out very well. So let's just do another dip with the brush. All right, there we go. Why don't we try that? And since we're dealing with a situation where I'll be adding more water, let's make sure my face is nice and wet. Okay, now let's go at it. Dripping face. Oh, we don't want a dripping goatee. And let's just see what happens. Yeah, see, I'm not dumping out the water. This is a nicely scented soap. Spicy. Not really one for summer. But since I'm a night shaver, that kind of changes the types of soaps that I enjoy even in the summer because, it's not really super hot or anything at night. Okay, so we work it a little bit. And notice I'm not having any problems with water dumping out because I've been able to kind of work that water and soap together before putting it on my face a little bit. And so now I am dipping and adding water. And I'm going to use this painting style, and you can see what happens. Sometimes that water gathers in certain areas. And so one of the things I've done is maybe I'll dip and put it up here on my cheek because that way the water stays down by the tips where the lather is instead of going by the handle. Feels good. I did choose a different Boar brush today. I've been trying this with Boars, and the 20102 Omega that I used yesterday, it's just got too much prickle at this age. While it has it's blooming okay and it can be used normally, it's not eating lather or anything like that. It is still kind of prickly. So at least this is as I do this, what I call a tedious task of adding water to my, oh, you know what? Let's take the extra brush lather here off there. Matter of fact, let's do the whole scrape it off my face thing. put that in the bowl. As we continue to add water. Sometimes I'm trying different water methods. This particular time I dipped it pretty good in there and then took it right to my face, kind of making a little bit mess with the water, not letting very much drip back out of the brush, and so that's going to be a little bit more messy. Got frustrated yesterday, probably because that Boar brush is so young that it's just not enjoyable to do so much face work with that one. This one, however, is different. It's got, I think this might be its 45th or 46th use, and it's doing great. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, let's gather up some of this lather concentrate here, because that's getting in the way. Getting in the way of me having the slick lather that I want. See how quickly we can get to this point. And who knows, maybe what I discover is a good face lather practice for me just has so many modifications to it that it's not really face lathering. But hey, you know what? It's about what you enjoy. It's about what makes you happy. And here's the funny thing. This Whip Dog Boar brush does not have a lot of split tips. I wasn't really able to find one, and that's in 45 uses, but it's really soft. It does its job well. It's got a medium backbone, but just those soft tips. And so maybe it'll be a while before those, tips really soften up. Now, this is a non-shaveable area, so it's definitely something that we could take the lather away from. I mean, that's going to be good stuff, and I've got so much lather in my bowl that I'm just not going to use. But that's this method, using up a bunch of soap. Okay, so now we'll add water. Again, let me grab some more of this lather and put it away in my savings account. Okay, do a dip of water. And so imagine now we're starting to get more toward a hydration level that I'm in favor of. So on my list of things I want to try with this face lathering clump of shaves that I'm doing, I want to go with, just try all this with a badger. So I've been using a Boar so far. Is it going to be any different with a badger? I did the Williams mug face lathering with a badger, and it didn't really change anything. But let's use a big old badger, like a 26 millimeter, really dense knot, and see how that works out. All right, how is this lather? See, we're starting to look really close to the way I like it. Okay, maybe one more water dip and we might be there. Fortunately, because of this bowl working on the pre-lather, I haven't had a lot of good lather flying off, which is annoying to me because the stuff that flies off, what is that? Is that the thick stuff, or is that the thin hydrated stuff that I want to keep? Yeah, it's the good stuff I want to keep. That's what's jumping ship. And this brush is very comfortable. So I think if you're going to do this kind of lathering method, I think it's important to get at least for me, to get a comfy brush. And it's a much less frustrating event. You could even, start to enjoy it. so this, yeah, this having this bowl here might really help me to get, we could get more behind this type of lathering. It's not looking like it's saving me any time. And so I'd probably generally stick with my bowl. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back and forth every once in a while. So yeah. Now the Fatip. This is the mild. It's got, you know, an empty area right there. You can see right through. And it's got these teeth, but it is still a solid bar, classified as a solid bar. It's very mild. You can see, let's see if you're able to see the, you know, the blade there. It's not sticking out very much from the plane between the top cap and the safety bar there. And so it's not a, it's a mild razor, but it's very efficient. I'm super happy with the way this thing cuts. It doesn't cut like a mild razor. It cuts like maybe a medium range razor, but it does it with the comfort of a mild razor. That's an awesome plus. Second plus is all brass construction. The plating there obviously is, you know, chrome or whatever option you chose, but inside it is brass, unlike so many of the other razors out, like Parker's and Mercur's and Edwin Jaggers, that are just the pot metal and they just won't last. I mean, if you treat them really well, they'll last, you know, maybe 10 or 15 years if you can keep that moisture out of places like the threading and stuff. But this guy, all brass. And yeah, some of the Fatips in the past have had some finish issues where, you know, but they're getting a lot better with that. It's what I hear the last several years. This is the larger, the thicker of the handles here. And it is hollow. And so in a way it's lighter. And you get more head weight with this type of handle. There's a thinner handle. That's the piccolo type handle, and it is a solid handle, so it's very dense. You also get a nimble feeling with it because it's thinner, and I don't like the thinner handles. I like the look of this better, but I like the weight of the thinner handle, and I do like the nimble feeling, and so that is kind of starting to win me over. You know what I could do? I could fill this. I could fill this with something, and then I'd get the weight and the thickness. Why not? All right. Well, the good news is we have worked this soap into our skin, and that is going to help it to protect us by providing a layer of slickness over our skin to let the blade glide across the skin, cutting the hairs but not the skin. That is the hope. All right. With the grain for me means from north to south, and this blade works well with this razor. And this is even a blade, you know, that's had 8 or 9 uses, and this is very comfortable. I do feel the hairs being cut, but I don't feel the blade edge really. Now, one thing that I don't know that I'll be able to escape, even if I find a way to like this kind of shaving, this face lathering method, is that my face usually feels itchy and dry afterwards, and that is very uncommon for me because I have oily skin and I never feel that way. That's some good lather right there. See, look at that. We could reapply it and go in here again. I just thought about filling that handle here of the Fatip. It's a really good idea. I don't know what with. Haven't really thought about it much, but I bet that would work out great. All right, now I'm going to rinse. And why do I feel dry a few hours after? Because I'm putting a lot more soap. 3 or 4 times as much soap on my face than usual. And so because of all the loading, I have more soap to deal with. And so my normal bowl method where I'm using less soap might be a good option if you've got dry skin. So let's get some of this concentrate. Paint it on. Dip, get some water. And see here, with this method, we're kind of having to constitute the lather 3 times before each pass. And I would wager that the bowl method might be better for this. If you're not picky about your lathers and you like them dry, then I think this can be a fast way to shave. All right, there we go. We'll just settle with that. Hey, did you guys see? Got a hook, got a clamp for my hook here so that my towel almost never falls down anymore. All right. Now I did feel quite a bit of stubble from that first pass, and so I expect this second pass is going to take care of that. Such a comfortable shave with this razor so often. It's just, if I had limited budget to buy a razor, this is the one I'd get. Don't know if I would pick the open comb version. That's the head that the Grande or the Piccolo has, but it would be a Fatip, that's for sure. There we go. And rinse. You know, if you're going to have this kind of a little standby bowl to hold your concentrate and to work your brush in before putting it on your face, then I don't guess you need to load for as long. That's one good idea. Load for less time because you've got that soap concentrate available to you. Okay, so we paint it on, and then again, reach in, get some water. I wonder when these tips will ever start splitting. All right. Again, it's not quite as wet as I want, but let's just shave with it anyway. And yeah, it looks like I've got enough concentrate here for, 5 more passes. Cross grain again. It's what I do for my third pass. I could go against the grain. Common for people to do that on their third pass, but I get a very, very good shave with 2 cross the grain passes, and I'm happy with that. Comfortable shave, no nicks or anything like that. Now I can't go against the grain for the most part on my neck area. It's just I get bitten. This razor might actually be one of the few that can do it. Might want to try it sometime. Now let's lay down a little lather back in this zone, and there we go. Okay. This razor, so comfy, such a close shaver too. All right, well there we go, and here is plenty of the concentrate left for me to use if I needed to, which I don't. So I like this shave a lot better than the one yesterday and the other ones where I'm trying to keep everything on the brush and there's nowhere to put it and it just flies off. So for somebody like me who wants a wet lather, then this is something that's going to help. And that's a great use for that little bowl. And I would encourage you to get the one from China and pay $12 for it instead of $35. But do what you want. Support them. Nothing wrong with supporting American businesses. I'm sure the folks at Captain's Choice I don't think they ordered theirs from China, so I'm sure they make it. They say they make it from a local artisan. A local artisan is the one who makes it, so that I'm sure that's true. All right. But my wallet usually requires that I try to shop American when I can, but my wallet sometimes has to yell at me and say, well, it's either Chinese or nothing. So sometimes I have to buy Chinese. All right, full rinse now. And one of the problems that I've had is so much soap has been on my face, it's taken a while to rinse. Now, I don't really mind that it takes a while to rinse, but that's an indicator of how much soap my skin is being exposed to. And I think that's going to pay off down the road in the dryness that I feel. Okay, and so wouldn't it be great if, because I was able to maybe get a hydration level that I'm happy with, perhaps then I don't have as much of that concentrate on my face right now. So let's see. This shave's very good, but I do want to do a touch up right here. So just paint a little bit right there. I got plenty on my brush to get that area, just like that. This is my hairline. Hair direction comes down this way, turns over a little bit like that, and then goes off this way. From here, comes down, and then kind of across. And so on my neck, it's kind of moving across the face instead of straight down. And then it also comes down and goes this way. And so when I shave this way, I'm going cross grain in this part of my neck. And so likewise, when I do it right here, I'm kind of going cross grain as well. And when I've been shaving this area so far, I've been going cross grain, but from this direction, my ear, down to this way. And so now to get that tricky spot that is where, that is in that hollow of my neck next to my Adam's apple, I pull on my skin just a little bit that way, lift my chin up off to that direction, and then I go the other cross grain direction, which is from the bottom, moving up, and I keep a light, very light touch, and I have to stop before I get to an area over here where it's against the grain. And then I switch back to this, which is more cross grain or with the grain. And there we go. Yeah, I think that got it pretty well. Not great, but I'm happy with it. Not great, but very good. Okay, so I'm going to do a, oh yeah, I did all my main rinse already. And yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of concentrate left on my face, which was great. Happy about that. So maybe I won't have that tightening feeling afterwards. And so let's try, oh, you know what, before, since this has a lot of alcohol in it, do some witch hazel first. And I've got that Thayer's non-alcohol. And it is, it's mainly not witch hazel, because witch hazel stinks. And since this is an unscented, then you know the witch hazel content's kind of low, but it's aloe and things like that. There we go. I want to remember to get the alcohol version as well to try that. It's got a little bit higher witch hazel concentration. But I think I put that on my to-do list. All right, so we'll let that soak in. Alum is another astringent that people use. You get that wet and you rub it all over your face and it stings and tells you what you've done wrong or where you've done wrong. And then it also acts as a mild antiseptic or something, I can't remember. But I don't do that anymore. I don't feel like that helps too much. I already kind of know where I had a problem. But here's the big thing about alum. If you choose to use it, make sure you wash it off. It's a salt. You don't want to keep that on your skin. It'll dry you out. It's a salt, so leave it on for 30 seconds and then wash it off. Witch hazel's not that way. All right, so I'm going to put things away, clean things up while I let this soak into my face before the main cologne, main aftershave. Yeah, that's just a nice scent, earthy. I usually don't like the rosemary, but they've combined it with the pepper and a couple other things that balance it out a little bit more. And so I'm really happy with that. So this Platinum from Personna did very well. dry those things off in just a second. And so with the Boar brush, and this is one nice thing about a bowl, is I tilt it to the side, put it under the sink, and as I work this, then some of the water spills out, and so I get this constant influx of nice fresh water. And so then out goes the soapy water. So it's kind of like a perpetual rinse. And every once in a while I'll still dump it out. And one nice thing about the Boar brushes, they're not so dense, and so it doesn't take forever to clean them. All right. And then afterwards, he's very wet and stuff, clumping and whatnot. And so, with pretty much all my brushes, I want to get that water out. So that they dry without getting mildew or anything in the center that might cause damage to the bristles. And also this action with a Boar probably helps it to age, that sort of thing. And there we go. So he's ready to be set away. And now that we've removed any of the standing water, nothing like a water drop exists in here anymore, then it doesn't matter whether you hang it upside down or whether you put it on its base. Doesn't matter. It dries the same either way. So yeah, when I'm doing bowl lathers, this guy is very lacking and pretty ineffectual for me and my style and almost all my brushes. But as to help and soften the effect of face lathering, to take that initial soap and water mixture that's in your brush and help it to become an early proto lather, this guy works very well. Very happy with him. He can help me to like face lathers better. All right, well, hey, let's try the Floid Black and see how. A little bit of stinging due to the alcohol. And we'll see what that smells like, and if it has, I think it does have maybe a little bit of menthol, something like that. All right, well, I want to keep cleaning up my stuff. Well, my first impression of this Floid Black is good. Maybe some amber or vanilla or tonka, sweetening it up, but something else musky in there, or yeah, liking it so far. Well, now I know if I ever feel like face lathering, I can bring out a little bowl like this Captain's Choice sized bowl and let that be a little mixer for me to get the lather started without having to dump all the water and get all messy on my face. And that also means that it's going to hold some of that concentrate, and so then I don't have to heavy load like I'm doing. So it's a neat little hybrid of sorts between bowl lathering and face lathering. All right. Well, I am liking. I think there might be some kind of fruit note, maybe orange. I could be imagining things. It may be a component of the vanilla or tonka or whatever's in play here, but it does seem like there's something else in there that is brightening it up just a touch to keep it from being quite so low because of those other ingredients I mentioned. I kind of expected it to be a little sharper, almost like Black Label from Dr. John's. I expected maybe a little bit more kind of formal and stuff, but it's smooth. It's not punchy, not bitter, not sharp. I think I like it. I'll have to see how the wife feels about it. All right. And I am not getting very much of a stinging in my eyes due to any kind of cooling agent like menthol. I'm not feeling any in my skin, and so that's extra good. Okay, well, I think everything's put away. I like this soap. a lot. Love the performance of it. That Bison base is terrific. Love the razor, and the blade worked well today. Yeah, nice close cut, including my trouble spot. Got reasonably well cut. Very happy there too. And it's great to try this aftershave, and found another purpose for this tiny little bowl. So that's really good. All around, I think it's about as good as a face lather that I've had. So that's a good thing. Well, hey, the COVID thing, we're doing the numbers, and today in North Carolina, I think it was 31 deaths. Not today, but so far during the whole epidemic in this state, 31 deaths, and 2,500 approximately documented cases. And so I sat in the parking lot at the grocery store with the kids, and I did the math. That's a little over 1% of the people. And I told them, you know, I mean, it's not very many people, but if you were to get 100 people together in a room, it's a lot of people. But one of those people who would get COVID would die, and that's a pretty heavy thing. So stay safe out there, especially if you're in a high-risk group. Don't take any chances. But we're going to get through this, and we're going to take some losses, but we're going to be okay. And so be encouraged. You take care out there. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope there's been something in this video that has helped you out. You take care. Good night.